Greetings, everybody. I am Lobo, and welcome to Luna. This is episode 209 of my Minecraft survival series, and today we are returning to the storage system project over here at the lower waterside district. Now, this is not something I originally planned to do for this episode. This is not, what I intended to do, working on the storage system for 2 episodes in a row, because, well, I know some of you guys come here for the building, and this is not building. This is me fumbling around with redstone, and, I wanted to give you guys some variety. I thought that'd be a good idea to give you guys some variety, but here's the thing. I'm actually pretty excited about this project, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to continue on with it, Hopefully you're okay with that. But in the last episode, we built this shulker box item input for our storage system, and we also built our non-stackable item storage. Now this does not actually need to be here. This was a mistake. I mean, it's not a terrible mistake, it's not a huge mistake, but it's still gonna get torn down. Like, not this is fine, but this has gotta go. Now, that's not to suggest that our storage system here isn't going to include non-stackable items. It definitely is. But the non-stackable item storage does not need to be here. I only put it here for, convenience when I thought we were going to be unloading shulker boxes into it. And we're not actually going to do that. My bubbles! We're fine. So, as I was saying, we're not actually going to be unloading shulker boxes into it, which means I don't need to readily access it, which means this can probably go back to its original location that we picked out for it, which was over here on this side of Luna's lower waterside district. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, what's the big deal if it stays where it is, right? And that wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world, but it is taking up some valuable real estate that could be used for storing some other stuff, which we would need to access more frequently since this is the main area of the storage system, right? So, yeah, I just think there's better ways to utilize this space. Oh man, I'm off to a great start. You know what I just realized? We didn't need to tear the chest down. This is still going to be storage. We're just not storing the non-stackable items here. The chest could have stayed. But now that we know for sure where our non-stackable items are going to go, we can go ahead and start getting this area prepared. Basically, we're going to need to clear out a little bit of space beneath the ground here to run our item transportation system. And as we're clearing this area out, I did not actually mean to fall down here, but as we're clearing this area out, you can see that we're basically over our old multi-item storage system. Like, that's all that stuff down here, right? And I've been thinking, the multi-item storage down there, that probably doesn't need to be there. We used up a lot of resources building this, right? And it's a great system, it really is. But there's a ton of resources that went into this that could probably be better spent elsewhere. For instance, our new multi-item section of the storage system. So, I'm strongly considering it might be a good idea to just go ahead and reclaim those resources and convert the old multi-item storage section into just straight up item overflow. It would save us a lot of resources and also speed up our actual storage significantly. Now, I'm not going to make any brash decisions right now. I'm just letting you guys know that might be something that happens. We might tear out our old multi-item storage section in favor of something simpler. Eventually. What we're doing right now, though, what we need to do right now is we need to go ahead and run our item transportation system over to the new non-stackable item section of the storage system, right? It needs to run over here. So basically, a lot of the ground here has to go. A lot of it. Not just because we're running item transportation. That wouldn't take up a ton of room, but we also need to clear out some room for some redstone and stuff like that that's going to be going down here for our actual storage system. And let me go ahead and say that the redstone that's going to make up this thing, it's going to be really simple redstone. It's going to be very simple, but it's also going to look like spaghetti. It's going to be a huge, complex mess of simple stuff. I have my reasons. We're not to that point yet, but I just want to let you know why we're going to clear out a lot more space than what we're actually going to use today. And we won't clear out nearly enough space to do everything that we need to, but we're going to, get a good start. So at this point, let's go ahead and call Dee Dee on over here, put on a little bit of music, and yeah, we need to move the non-stackable item thing. That's the whole thing we're trying to do, is just move non-stackable items to where they need to be. Welcome back, everybody. So now we have the non-stackable items section of our storage system in. And this is not the full structure. It's not the full structure. It's just a framework to house all the functional components of this thing. Speaking of the functional components, let me go ahead and show you some of the features of this bad boy right here. So as you can see, we have a lot of non-stackable storage, right? But this thing may also get filled up over time. So eventually I'm thinking we'll probably add like item disposal systems to each section of the storage system, just in case we need to clear this thing out, because non-stackable storage, it fills up fast, man. But as you can see, we have some spaces in between each column of chests here, and the reason for that is, let's say that we fill up some chests, right? Items are going to start backing up into the hoppers, and let's say we might want to access some of those items in the hoppers. Well, using these trapdoors right here, we can easily do so. So we have access to pretty much everything that goes into each section of the storage system. This is the basic layout for each section of the storage system. Now let me just quickly make sure I didn't drop anything into this as I was building. I think we're probably good here. So basically, that's it for the front section, the visible section of it. Now behind it, you can see we have our actual way we transport items over here. And it's fairly simple. You know, it's just a big old water stream that goes back to our item input over here at the section we built last episode. This whole thing is going to be built on top of our old storage system. Basically, the layout of the lower waterside district storage system is the same layout almost as the underground storage system that we already have in place. And it might be nice to work out some ways to travel between them easily for convenience sake, but we're talking about the non-stackable items right now. So this is the non-stackable item filter we built in the last episode, and you guys saw how it worked then. But basically, non-stackable items make their way to the drop right here. Stackable items make their way into the chest for now. Basically, non-stackable stuff will activate this clock right here, shooting items out into the water stream over to their non-stackable storage areas, right? So, even though we did a little test of it last episode, we need to make sure our changes didn't ruin anything. So in here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 non-stackable items, plus some other stackable stuff. So hopefully, once we get this input, we should only see those 6 non-stackable items over there in the non-stackable section of the storage system. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. We are now unloading the shulker box, which means that items should be flowing through here now. So we're already getting some non-stackable items shooting over there, which is great. And basically the reason why I want to separate the non-stackables from the stackables to begin with this early on in the storage system, like right after the item input, is because they have no reason to go through the entire storage system if they're not going to get put away, right? So it'd be a good idea to go ahead and separate these things right off the bat. And you know what? Let's go ahead and see if we can follow some of these items over here and make sure they're not getting stuck anywhere, because these items are going all over the place. They're going, you know, this way, they're going up, they're going down, they're going left, they're going right. Actually, I don't think they're going left at any point. They might not be going left. You know what? They might be going left at the end. So yes, they're going in all different directions, okay? And they did make a left turn at the start. So there's that. I'm not being inaccurate when I say stuff. But yeah, everything seems to be working out well. Let's just go ahead and make sure that they're actually making their way into the chest, because that is, in fact, the most important part. So, up, over, and down. And look at that. That's all 6 of them, right? That is all 6 of them. Well, how about that? This whole thing works. So that is another section of our storage system complete. Now, before we move on to the next thing, I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of a platform for myself to walk around on here because, well, I'm sick of falling down the hole. But we're returning to our item input for the storage system now, and we already have our shulker box input, but it would be a nice feature of this if we had somewhere to put loose items in our inventory, right? So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we'll just have a couple chests around the back here that are routed into the storage system. Probably, let's see, this will have to be a double chest, right? Because we need to put a hopper under it. So let's go ahead and make this a double chest, and then we can just route some hoppers to that from here probably. That's a slab, so I don't think it's going to lock the hoppers. We should be fine. Maybe if we do something like that. Actually, maybe it would be better if we ran these out a little bit to the sides. That way, we don't have the redstone torches on the other side of these blocks actually locking this, the back hopper right there. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Redstone on camera. This is fun. So, item input, check. Non-stackable stuff, check. Non-sorted stuff, check. Now, what we can do is go ahead and start focusing on how we're going to lay out the actual multi-item sorted section of this storage system. So this new multi-item sorted section is basically taking the place of this, our old multi-item sorted section of our storage system, mostly because this is just very inconvenient to get to. I want all the blocks I use frequently above ground, easy to access at a moment's notice. Now, there are some pros and cons to the way I'm going to be doing this new multi-item sorted section of the storage system. It's not going to be like an actual, we're not going to discuss the redstone for that yet, because it's going to be, I'm going to need more time to explain it. But basically, as far as what blocks we're going to be storing over here, it's not going to be every block in the game. I don't intend to store every block in the game over here. There are space constraints. So some consideration will have to go into which blocks we sort through this thing. Now, I've spent a little bit of time, and when I say a little bit of time, I mean a lot of time, trying to figure out where I want to put what blocks in which part of the storage system, right? And this is not finalized. I mean, this isn't even a rough draft. This is just me trying to figure some stuff out right now. But it's occurring to me that I don't have nearly enough columns of chests to house all the blocks that I want to house. But, I mean, if we really, really need to, we could expand this thing, right? We could expand this thing to encompass a little bit more area, because we do have some areas off to the sides over here that we could utilize. And if we really, really want to, we have a ton of additional space inside here that we could use as well. Now, I mean, we would have to take simulation distance into account. We would have to take wherever our AFK spot is going to be into account if we start building out that way. But it's a possibility. That's all I'm saying. Now, as I briefly mentioned last episode, I want to have these particular sections of the storage system, or at least the multi-item sections of the storage system, kind of divided up into different categories of items. And basically, once we get around to actually decorating this place, making it look all nice and pretty, I want to have these kind of look a little bit more like shops where we can go to pick up items. So maybe over here by the farm district, we could have like keep all our landscaping stuff, and this could be like a little landscaping shop or something. You'd think I've been playing this game for so long that by now I would know what blocks are in the game, right? But I'm blanking, man. I'm blanking. I mean, not only can I not think of stuff, I'm having to look stuff up, and then, oh yeah, almost forgot. With this update, there's new blocks that I haven't accounted for yet, that we haven't gone looking for yet, that I do not have in my possession yet. So, yeah, this is fun. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm not excited about the new stuff. I am. In fact, I plan to get some good use out of the new stuff. But it's just more to consider at this point, right? Anyway, right now I'm getting in a little corridor that's going to lead us from the main section of our storage system over here to the new landscaping section. Because we do want everything to be easy to access, right? We want to be able to get from one place to another fairly easily and collect what we need to collect in a timely fashion. I'm just going to go ahead and say that the progress you guys are seeing in these little updates is deceptive. It might not look like a whole lot is happening. It might not look like I'm making a whole lot of progress, but it's taken a lot of time to make this little progress. Basically, I'm just trying to consider where each category of blocks should go, which should go into the main area, which should go into a different area, what part of the main area some of these blocks should go into. Because I want this to be, a good storage system, right? I want it to be a good storage system. I made a mistake with my previous one, and I'm not looking to repeat that. So if each category of blocks is going to have its own section, for instance, we'll have a wood section over here, we'll have like a rocks and hard stuff section over here, and we'll have like a colorful section over here, maybe it would make sense to put stuff like prismarine into its own section. We could match that with, like kelp and sea pickle and coral and all that stuff, and probably put it over here by the dock. Though we want it to be easily accessible from the main storage area, so let's make sure we line this up properly. So maybe if we went down right here a little bit from the docks, we could have our own little aquatic section. Cow, come on, I'm in the middle of recording, cow. Maybe down here, off the docks, accessible by the docks, we could have a little aquatic section. I just said that, didn't I? I think that's going to work. I think we have just enough room to build a little aquatic section of our storage system down here, make a little shop. We will probably have to push our item transportation system for non-stackables over just a little bit, That shouldn't be too big of a deal. Oh yeah, Cal's down here. If he sticks around, he'll probably end up being the shopkeeper for this place. So, prismarines, corals, and water stuff. That's not the official name for the shop. We haven't got official names for any of these places yet, but, you know, we'll be working on that eventually when the time comes. I don't know, that might even be far off, considering how slow progress is on this so far, but I think we should have enough room to build something here that, you know, won't look too out of place, and hopefully maybe even looks good. Maybe it's a good addition to Luna. But as far as getting down to this place, well, we don't really want to have to, you know, jump up and down in order to access different areas of the storage system, right? So we can maybe do a little stairway off to either side of the opening here. It's a possibility, you know? There's lots of stuff to consider. Now, you may notice I'm going back and forth to and from places I've already been to, places that I think are good, and then I realized, oh, they could be improved upon. So basically, I don't want you to think that any of the layout we get in this episode is finalized, just like none of the layout that we got in last episode is finalized. We're changing stuff up in this episode. Nothing is finalized with this thing until it's actually finalized. Well, we're not there yet, but we're not there yet, but I feel like we're getting close at this point. I feel like we're getting close. I feel like we're almost to the point where, at least in a few of these sections, we can start putting some chests down, okay? Now, the progress updates are getting a little bit repetitive for me, probably for you too, if that's the case for me. So maybe we can call Didi on over here. Though I don't know how this whole process would be in time-lapse format, but there's really only one way to find out, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and call Didi on over here, put on a little bit of music, and see what we can do. Welcome back, everybody, and now we have some of these sections of our storage system kind of laid out. Again, not finalized, putting emphasis on that. None of this is finalized, but I have a pretty good idea of where I want at least a few different categories of items to go, right? Because, you know, organization, that's what this is all about. It's about organization. So let me go ahead and show you around. Over here, we're basically going to have a section for household goods, for lighting, for bookshelves, paintings, stuff of that nature. Over here, we're going to have easily accessible an area for scaffolding, food, fireworks, and torches. Basically, these are my expendable items. These are the items that I burn through each and every time I play in this world. Over here, we're going to have a section for our lumber, for our woods, for our stuff that we can make out of wood and, you know, all that. Same thing applies to our rock shop over here. We're going to have a place to store all of our rocks and the stuff that we can make out of those rocks, including those rocks that we don't have quite yet. Over here, we're going to have a section for our colorful stuff to include dyes, wools, glasses, concrete, terracottas, and even though they're not super colorful, we do have different varieties of sand, so our different sandstones and stuff like that. Now again, subject to change. All of this is subject to change, in fact. None of this is finalized yet again. But, you know, I feel like we're at least getting close at this point. So, what's next? We have our non-sorted stuff over here. This is stuff that's not going to be actually put in here by the storage system, but by me manually. This is just stuff I will personally want to keep on hand. And then moving on to some of the different areas. Over here through the back, we're going to have a corridor that leads to a landscaping shop. And this is where we'll keep all our dirts and stuff like that, including the rooted dirt or whatever that is that we don't yet have. Vines, leaves, stuff of that nature. Over here, we'll have bone meals, seeds, crops, anything crop related. We'll have flowers. We will have saplings and other stuff. You know, we'll reserve some spaces for other stuff. Right. Anyway, that should do it for these couple sections. Now, moving on, we can have a peek in here. Maybe not here yet. Let's go ahead and look at some of the other areas first, and then we'll talk about the interior spaces. So over here by the entrance to the Waterside District, we're going to have a redstone shop, okay? And this is where we're going to store our slimes and honey, and basically all of our redstone components are just going to be mishmashed into this couple columns of chests right here, which should be enough space for it. If it's not, we can always expand and just kind of reconsider. You know, I'll put more thought into that later. I put more thought into the main section than any of these other sections so far, so I don't know. I'll have a peek at them in between episodes. Anyway, over here, we're going to have this section tentatively for mob drops, and this section for our nether stuff. But you might notice not all the nether stuff that I frequently use is actually accounted for. We don't have soul sand. We don't have soul soil up here. I was thinking that I might put that downstairs in bulk storage because there's no, stairs, slabs, anything like that. There's also none of that stuff for basalt either, but I'm keeping that up here. So, yeah, I will probably end up changing this up a little bit to account for that stuff. Maybe move the mob drop somewhere else. But that's why there's no frames around this or anything. This is definitely not finalized. It's less finalized than other stuff. So I have a peek at this in between episodes, kind of figure out how we can better organize that. But moving on into the interior spaces, actually, we're not ready to move on to the interior spaces quite yet, because we haven't gone to look at our water storage. So we have our prismarines, corals, and water stuff down here, and we have a little layout for that. Obviously, room for expansion if we need it. Prismarines, corals will fill up this, and kelp, sea pickles, all that kind of stuff will go in there. Though, I don't anticipate we'll get a lot of this stuff. Primary storage for that is still over at Wharf, but this is just what we bring over to Luna, end up throwing in our system. And then I suppose we can move on to the interior places now. So, we are in fact going to be adding some shops into these areas of the Waterside District. Let me show you which areas we're actually going to use. So you'll notice we have two big circles on either side of the Waterside District. That is going to now be used as a part of our storage system here. Now, as far as what we're storing in these interior sections, we're going to have a shop for ores, and more than that, we'll have several shops lining this area, but there's going to be a lot to consider when building in here. Over here, we're going to have an entrance into our bulk storage area, which I showed you last episode. It's like right down there, so I don't really feel the need to go over that again. Now, over on this side of the Waterside District, we are going to have additional areas inside this little circle. We'll have an entrance into our overflow storage, which we talked about earlier. We're going to convert that into overflow storage. The previous bulk storage area that I showed you a bit earlier, I think I did anyway. You know what? We'll go over it again, because what harm can that do? Ow! That kind of harm. Anyway, that's down there, right? And as you can see, this whole upper area of the storage system is built over the lower area of the storage system. So this storage system, though it's massive, it's huge, it's not as big as it would seem if we walk through the whole thing. Anyway, over here, we're going to be storing end stuff, which is stuff I don't really use at all, but we'll consider it infrequently used, and we'll have a place for it, just in case we ever need it. But I do think that covers pretty much everything so far. Now, when I say everything so far, let me tell you what I mean by that. I mean everything that I've accounted for. I've accounted for everything that I've actually accounted for. Obviously, there's a whole lot more stuff that I haven't accounted for, but we're not worried about that stuff yet. Also, there is a whole lot more stuff in the game than I even know right now, because to be honest, I haven't looked too deeply into the new update that's out, the 1.17 update. And you guys have probably been exploring it by now. I haven't, but I think that's going to change with the next episode. You see, I think we're going to spend next episode exploring the update, collecting some of the new blocks, because we need to make room for them in our storage system, right? But not only that, there's something in particular that I want. that I think is going to help Luna out tremendously. So, what we're going to do next episode is make our way through this doorway here in the Nether, and we're going to see where exactly that takes us. But I mean, of course, it's going to have to wait till next episode. I mean, unless you guys want to see what's through this portal now. Do you guys want to see what's through this portal now? Gotta admit, I'm a little curious myself. It's probably going to be a big letdown. You know what? You've convinced me. I mean, this is breaking protocol, but for you guys, it's worth it. Oh, the desert at night! Well, this is not something I was expecting nor prepared for. That's fine. I need safety. Hey, check it out, guys. We found some glowy stuff. I want it. Ow! Did you just hit my face into a block? Oh my goodness. Anyway, there's a little taste of next episode for y'all. That is, unfortunately, all the time we have for this one, though. So I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves today. If you did, please be sure to hit that little thumbs up button. That would mean a whole lot to me. If you want to see more, please remember to subscribe. And as always, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out today. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, I am Lobo, and I will see you guys later.